I'm almost like debating if I should sit down for this video, but I think we're just gonna go for it. Hey guys, what's up? I thought it would be a fabulous idea because I also have a video about reading my creepy Tinder messages, which you can go check out on my channel. I thought I'd kind of continue this whole Tinder thing and let you guys in on 4 of my absolute worst Tinder dates. And let me just tell you, there's probably been more than 4 really bad Tinder dates. So that's very unfortunate. So I'm just gonna tell you like the basics of what happened for the 4 times that I can think of right now. Date number 1. You know what? I'm not gonna use real names. So a couple months ago, I was in Newport Beach visiting my best friend. We hung out in OC, we did our thing, and then after I hung out with my best friend, it was probably like 10:30. I had wanted to meet this guy for a while, and we'd been talking for a while, and he lived in Newport Beach, or I think so, yeah. So when he found out I was there, he invited me to come over. And so I was like, you know what, I've always wanted to meet this guy, like, sure, why not? So I'm just looking back on this and just being like, what were you thinking? And so I was like, you know what, yeah, I'll go, because I'm in Newport Beach, my home is in San Diego, that's like an hour-and-a-half drive, like do I want to drive that at midnight? So I got done hanging out with my best friend, I dropped her back off, and I headed to his house. So his dad was home at the time, and he didn't know that I was coming, obviously, so he like snuck me in through the front door, and I just like went into his room, and I just like, it's very awkward. Don't get yourself into that situation. Like, I have a rule, I will not go to anybody's house on the first date. No Netflix and chill, we're not hanging out at your house, we're not hanging out in your room, and I won't even hang out with you past 9. So that's like my dating rule right now. Honestly, I think it's like a pretty good rule to follow because you can kind of assure their intentions. So I like sit down in his room and I'm feeling awkward, like, you know, the first time you're meeting someone shouldn't be in their room and like their house. So I hate that, that's awkward, I don't like it. So just kind of like felt awkward, I was just like chilling. And then he started to make it less awkward. He was really talkative, he had a really good personality, like he was really sweet. So I was like, okay, like this is fine, I'm just gonna hang out here. I'm not worried, he's not a creep or anything like that. So he started kind of like getting really deep. So he was like very like deep and like poetic and like very, very interesting. Like he really seemed like he was like into me, and so I was like kind of like opening up to him. We were getting to know each other, just like chilling in his room, nothing is going down, nothing like that, nothing bad. And then he starts smoking, which I don't have an issue with. Like, do what you want to do with smoking, that's fine. So I'm like, okay. He offers me some, I declined it, I'm just sitting there. So he's doing his thing and he's like going hardcore at it, and I'm like, alright. So this guy is a stoner, alright. So the conversation goes kind of weird, and then he's like, so would you think bad of me, would you think like different of me if I went to go do cocaine right now in the bathroom? And I like honestly didn't know what to say. Like, what do you say to that when you're already kind of stuck in this guy's house and it's like 2 in the morning, and I was just like, what? Why? Like, what? The first time you're meeting me, you're gonna do this? Like, you really think I'm okay with that? Like, very, very weird. So apparently he's been doing this drug for a while. And he was like, yeah, I just have a little bit left and I don't want to waste it. Like, I promise I'll never do it again after this. Like, I'm just gonna go do it right now. This is my last little bit and I'll never do it again, I promise. And I'm like, first of all, like, why are you promising? I don't care if you do it again because I'm probably never gonna see you again. So, you know, do your thing. So basically the whole night I just listened to him in the bathroom snorting, and I was just in his room like, get me out of here. And he couldn't stop like sniffling the whole night. It was just like gross. Terrible date. That's not even a date. It's not a date. It was just awful. I don't know what it was. My second bad date was the college party story. So basically, I had met this guy on Tinder, and I had met his 2 friends about a week prior, and we had hung out, and I went to a party at their house. So this guy decided that he wanted to hang out with me. So he invited me over to his house to go to a big party down at the college that he went to, because he goes to like a really like popular and big college like down where I live, and they always have like really crazy parties there. So I was like, you know what, sure, I love to meet new people, and I was in party mode. So I agreed to go to his house. And I got there on a Friday night, and I went inside, and he had this huge bottle of alcohol, and he was just like pouring me drink after drink, like trying to get me really drunk. Very, very strange. I had some very bad warning signs previous to like what happened later in the night that I should have like realized. So basically he's getting super drunk himself. He's trying to get me really drunk. I'm just a little bit tipsy, and at this point when we're hanging out at his house, we're already like fighting, like we're arguing. We're like getting along pretty well for the most part though, and then instead of going to this party, which was the reason that I came, he was like, no, let's just hang out in my house, like come sit down, like let's just stay here. And I'm like, okay, I know you have an ulterior motive, like what do you want to do if we stay at your house, you know, like obviously he's thinking something bad. And I'm like, no, I'm not down for that. In my head, I just want to go to the party and then eventually get out of here, because I'm not into him, like I'm just not really attracted to him. He wasn't bad looking or anything, I just like wasn't into him or his personality. He was kind of weird to me. So we end up walking down to this party. I get him to go, and we get there, and he starts like introducing me to all these people, and I'm meeting all these people, so I'm kind of like sticking by his side because I don't know anyone. I'm pretty sure this is why I made my final decision as to why I wanted to go home, because he started to introduce me to people as his girlfriend, if I remember correctly. And that was just kind of like my, oh, nope, gotta go. So I ended up starting to text this guy that I still had feelings for, that I was dating previously, like a couple weeks prior. And I was like, please come pick me up, like you have to save me, this is awful, this guy is making me really uncomfortable. So I was texting this guy because I still had feelings for him at the time, you know, like I wanted him to come get me, I wanted him to save me, whatever. So I was texting this guy non-stop. So my Tinder date, the creepy Tinder date who I'm with, is getting really, really mad at me. And he's like cussing at me, just getting really mad that I was on my phone, like telling me to get off my phone, like what am I doing, like pay attention to him. And then he ended up holding my hand on the way back to his house after the party, and I was super uncomfortable, like literally holding his hand and texting on my other hand, like awkward. So we get to his house, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go to the backyard, I need to, you know, get some fresh air, whatever, excuse. Because he was trying to get me back into his room, like into his bed, and I was like, never, no. And then the awful Tinder date comes outside, and he's like, Olivia, what are you doing? You think I'm just like another Tinder guy? Like I really just want to get to know you, like I'm not trying to get in your pants. And it wasn't relevant at this point, like who knows if he genuinely in the beginning did have good intentions. It was just very awkward because I was like not feeling it, and like I couldn't tell if he was being real or not. So I was just kind of like brushing it off and kept texting this guy. And at this point, the next thing I know is I am laying down, like I'm on the kitchen floor on my back, and he's like standing over me yelling at me, and we're yelling about something that I can't remember, but all I remember I do is the last thing that I said was, okay fine, I'll just leave then. So that was like my out, because I'm very like uncomfortable with trying to get out of certain situations. Like I don't know how to make excuses, I don't know how to like say no, like I'm very, very awkward that way, but that's really bad. So I get up to walk out, and he's like, fine, and he's like chasing me out of his house, yelling at me, cussing at me, calling me names, like straight up verbal abuse, like straight up, like wouldn't stop cussing, was yelling at 2:30 in the morning, was like kicking me out of his house, like calling me all the bad names, like any bad name you can think of, he was calling me as I was leaving his house. And so I walk out, and I start crying, and he slams the door, and I can just hear him for the next like 2 minutes inside the house, like screaming and yelling and just like calling me names. He was awful. He ended up texting me like meanly like a couple minutes later, and I just like ignored it, and I was just trying to find a ride home because I knew I wasn't gonna like drink and drive, like I wasn't fully there yet. So I didn't know what to do, so I sat in my car until the guy who I was texting the whole time did come and get me. So thank you for that, you know who you are. Honestly, probably my worst date ever. Anyway, date number 3 and 4 are very similar, so I'll go over them pretty fast. But I had been dating this guy at the beginning of this year. He wasn't my official boyfriend or anything. We were just like hanging out a couple times a week. So I was hanging out with him one night and we had just gone to dinner. So we went back to my street and we parked like right where this park is. And there's always like a line of cars at this park. So I guess I like never really realized that this was like a spot that people go to like smoke or like do drugs or do other things in the car, you know, I don't know. So we parked there and we're just like sitting and talking and hanging out. And then I think this was one of like our first few dates. And I don't even remember if we'd kissed yet. So we were like sitting in his car and then he kissed me. And this is super awkward to like talk about on camera. I don't like to talk about this. Nothing bad happened, but like, you know, we were like kissing. So it was January and it was like super cold outside. And obviously like if you're inside like a car, like a small car, like if you're bringing up any perspiration, it's gonna make the car fog up with the cold outside and the hot inside. So we didn't really realize it, but apparently the whole car was just like covered in like fog. Like the whole car was cloudy. We see this huge light pull up behind us. Like it looked like a straight up like stadium light, like boom into our car. Like you could see everything. And we just knew at that moment, we're like, this is the police. Like, but like, what do you want? Like, we're not doing anything wrong. Like, it's just awkward. Like you're catching us like making out. Like that's super awkward. So he shines his flashlight in this guy's door, and I'm in my date's car, and he starts questioning us like crazy, like where do you live, like all this stuff. But he's actually kind of nice. It was just like a really awkward situation and a really awkward date. He was just like asking for our ID and stuff, and then he was like, just so you guys know, like this is the place like where people go to smoke and like do bad things, so I'm always over here. Like when I saw your car was fogged up, I thought you were either smoking or you're doing something worse than just kissing in the back or something like that, so I had to come check it out. First of all, like I know, I get it. I thought it was so funny. This cop was like, well, don't do it here, like do it over here where no cops are and where we won't catch you. Like what? Like what? You're not supposed to tell us that. So that was that. But this one was where it gets kind of crappy. So I drove about 40 minutes to pick up my 4th date, and I picked him up from his friend's house. And I had noticed that he had like a huge backpack with him, and I thought that was very strange, but I honestly didn't really think about it. So we decided to go to Starbucks and get a drink, and then go find a lookout spot. So he directed me to this lookout spot, which just, it's like you go up kind of high and you're on top of like a mountain, and then you can see the whole city of like whatever city you're in. So we go up this like literally vertical mountain road. It was so scary because I was driving it. And so we get there, and I didn't think about it, but it ended up being private property, and you're not supposed to be there. It's trespassing. So we are just sitting up there like hanging out, and we'd been hanging out for like 3 hours at this point. He was smoking whatever he wanted to do. You guys, I don't do this anymore. I don't date guys like that. I don't date younger guys. If any guy on our first date is just gonna be smoking and doing drugs, like that's just awful. That is not the kind of guy that I want. Basically, he had been smoking. I was just chilling, talking to him. I was not into it. Like, it was not like a date. This was not going to be my boyfriend or anything like that. Like, he was just a guy to chill with. So basically, he had been smoking, but so he had that in his backpack. So we're chilling up there, and then we see like these lights pull up, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, who else would come up here? I had a feeling it was the police. So lo and behold, once again, a light comes through the window, and this guy is so nervous. His voice is shaking, he's like sweating. He's so nervous and awkward because he knows what he has in his backpack, and he's currently not in the right state of mind. He's not currently sober. So he's freaking out. I'm like, great. I'm gonna get busted for this guy. I don't even like this guy. I don't know this guy. He is not worth it. Like, I'm not trying to get busted with him. So I was so like pissed, but I was trying to be nice to the officer. So he was asking all of our information, like where we went to school, for our IDs, like what our names were, what we were doing, and then he informed us that it was private property and that we were trespassing. And in my mind I was just like, please, like, let us go, let us get down the hill. And then for some reason, I guess we were acting suspicious because we were nervous. So the cop asks my date first. He goes, "Is there anything in this car that you're not supposed to have in here?" We both know that there are drugs in his backpack. And he goes, "No." And then the cop asks me, and I started freaking out. And I'm like, "Not that I know of." I said, "Not that I know of," because I was super scared. Because I'm not trying to get busted with him. Like, I don't know him. Like, that's not fair. Like, this is not my fault. I'm just on a crappy Tinder date, officer. Please don't arrest me. Like, I don't, he's, goodbye. Like, kick him out of the car. Arrest him. Don't arrest me. I was like literally freaking out, and he said, "Okay guys, step out of the car." And at that moment, I knew I was going to jail. I knew I was gonna die. I knew the world was gonna end. I knew everything was done. And I was literally so angry at this date. I was so mad. I was like, why did I do this? Why did I come here? So the cop has us sit on the front of my car, and I'm like, awesome, my car is being searched currently. He's gonna get busted, and since he has stuff, I'm probably gonna get busted. There's obviously nothing else in my car. I didn't have any bad substances in there, like alcohol, drugs, nothing like that. Nothing on my part, but on his part, there was. So, I'm freaking out. I know we're about to be busted. He knows. He's not saying anything. It's just awkward between us. And then the cop comes up and he says, "Okay guys, drive safe. Have a good night." What? Oh my god, I just wanted to get out of there. I drove down there as fast as we could. We got a drink again. I dropped him off. Peace out. Done. Never again. Fourth worst date. Almost got arrested by the cops because of this guy. Wouldn't have even been my fault. Honestly, probably like the second worst date. I hated that night. That is it for my bad date stories, my bad Tinder date stories, because I did definitely meet them all off of Tinder. So if you did enjoy this video, give it a big thumbs up, give it a like. That lets me know that you're enjoying my videos and I can keep making more for you guys. Do not forget to subscribe before you leave. I do post new videos every Monday and Friday, so you get 2 videos a week, and you'll be notified when I post a new video. I love getting new subscribers. I love when I see people joining my channel. It means so much, and I really love talking to you guys. So feel free to follow me on my Instagram or Twitter. You can talk to me there. I will always reply to you guys. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!